Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what's the worst thing about being a man? Always being told to show our feelings more and then having them ignored or laughed at if we do. The dismissiveness that I get from people from sharing my emotions or feelings just makes me not want to do it. Then when I am quiet or silent, I am told that I am manipulative and need to share my emotions. Lose-lose, I guess. See, you're supposed to just say how you feel like a robot, not actually feel it. That way people can pat themselves on the back for listening and not have to really understand or sympathize. That I'm still just a little boy inside who has too many responsibilities now. This is damn relatable. I got bills to pay, a house to maintain, a job I have to show up for 40 hours a week. But deep down, really all I want is to just go do an adventure. Edit. This blew up, I guess I struck a nerve, lol. A lot of people telling me that I'll get to go on an adventure someday, or encouraging me to go now, and I just wanted to say, I have and still do. I enlisted in the army in my 2020s, which wasn't a good decision, but an adventure it certainly was. I used to go RBXing and geocaching all the time. I've been to over a dozen states, and I've traveled to Iceland for 2 weeks for my honeymoon with nothing but a map and a camper van. I also do HEMA, so I get to travel all over New England competing in sword fights. I've been really fortunate to live an exciting life, especially since I've never really been all that wealthy to afford to do so. What I meant to say with my post is that the boyish desire for adventure never goes away, and it's a tragedy that so many men are not granted the opportunity to do so more often in their lives. So many live and die feeling so completely unfulfilled, and it's fucking depressing how we're worked to the bone and never get to live the lives that would actually make us happy. Edit 2. Oh no, my HEMA students have found this post. Shut it down, delete. I was waiting for takeaway food yesterday and this little kid about 4 years old or so, also waiting with his dad, had this nice straight stick he was playing with. Dad says let's go bud, mentions to drop stick so he can grab their food from inside and comes out. Kid drops stick, takes one step, turns, eyeballs me hard, steps inside, then back out with dad, then grabs stick again and walks off with dad, swinging and tapping the stick along the gutter. That kid was in heaven. He knew what he had, a nice strong straight stick. That kid was living his peak kid moment right there. Lucky little dude. Sometimes I just don't feel like being as swift as a coursing river. How about having the force of a raging fire though? What about the strength of a great typhoon? The worst thing for me is how people look at me when I'm around kids. My next door neighbors are lovely people and they have 3 kids. 7, 9, and 11. The kids love to play soccer or football or frisbee, and sometimes when I get home from work, I'll go outside and play with them. It takes a village and all that. They have a 5-year-old cousin who is over often. She loves to get carried around and play with the cousins. When I'm around those kids, when their extended family is around, the extended family looks at me like I'm a pedophile. The kids run up and hug me and stuff and drag me outside to play with them. The scorn and disdain from the aunts and uncles is profound. And then they'll hear the kids call my name, and they'll be like, oh, that's you. They talk about you all the time. And it's suddenly okay. But those looks I get bug me. The initial reaction of other adults is to assume that something evil and disgusting is happening, as though their parents would just let that happen. It just sucks to work hard trying to be a good human and have people look at you like you're the lowest of the low. Edit. It makes me really happy to read all the stories of other men being good role models to kids who aren't their own. Good work, men. I'm just imagining these kids coming over and ringing your doorbell. Then they ask if you can come out and play like they would with another one of their friends who has to ask their parents. And your response is just, you're goddamn right I can, and they are all in awe because you didn't have to yell and ask your parents' permission to go outside. Lol. When I was in flight school for the army, I lived next door to a single mom of 2. One was a boy about 6 years old. He knew I had a dog and would come over almost every day, usually while I was studying, and ask if we could come out to play. Sometimes I would, and sometimes I was too busy. But I always felt the way you do, like other neighbors and such were being judgmental. One day he showed up wearing an old army jacket and hat that his mom found at the thrift store and gave me the biggest salute when I opened the door. It was at that moment that I decided to forget about what those people were thinking and just try to be the best role model I could. And yes, we definitely went outside and played that day. Edit. Thanks all for the kind comments and rewards. Haven't really had a chance to respond because here I am 10 years later spending the day with my own kids. Don't have to feel awkward about it anymore. As a father of 2 kiddos, 8 and 6, I love that our babysitter's boyfriend will occasionally show up and play with the kids, build Legos with them. He's 21, and is a great older male influence. You're being a king to these kids by being a positive influence. Bonus points for helping reinforce the parents' rules and parenting styles. Having the expectation to always keep my shit together. Being vulnerable is a weakness. Failing is not an option. Provide regardless of the state of your overall health. This is a huge one. Probably the biggest one. If you're in a bad place, no one cares. You're expected to never be in a bad place. And if you tell people, they just ignore it and act like it's nothing. Edit. Please don't give me awards, donate to a charity instead. Or buy yourself something. Like a cheeseburger. Plus there's nowhere to go easily if you are in a bad place. We are often told to seek help, but where and with whom? I'm 36 with a wife and 2 kids, also the oldest of 3 siblings, both are diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. I'm also an attorney. I'm always the one my aging parents go to with their own questions for elder care, their needs, etc. I refuse to let my parents waste away in some home somewhere, but neither of my siblings understand or are willing to do what's necessary to prevent that. My siblings are also constantly needing help. I'm the breadwinner at home and an extremely active dad, or just a dad the way it should be. I kind of have always just taken it in stride. And then a couple months ago my kids and I watched a Kato together. I cried when Surface Pressure played. A lot. I don't even think I knew why I was crying at first. Eventually I realized that this is how I feel, all the time. I don't know if this is a specifically guy thing or not, but it's definitely how I feel. Edit. For a bunch of dudes who aren't allowed to feel feelings, you BROs have said some pretty insightful, kind shit. Maybe we all just need some more BRO time with BROs like you. Regardless, thank you. It means a lot. Surface pressure cuts deep. Hair, everywhere, I mean seriously, does it have to come out of my ears? Body, you're getting older now, what would you like to ease the burden? Me, oh I dunno, Neil lubricant. Body hair out of the ears it is. I feel like I can't genuinely enjoy being around kids without people thinking I'm weird or a pedo. A friend of mine, a guy, worked as a daycare worker for a few years. Until one day some 12-year-old girl told one of the workers he had made a comment on her boobs, so he was immediately fired. The next day the girl asked where he was, and then when they explained it to her, she said she was just lying because she thought it would be funny. They offered him his job back, but the whole situation was so mortifying for him that he has never worked with children ever again. A few years ago I offered to take my then girlfriend's, now wife, 12-year-old sister to the dentist because I was the only one available. I had a decent enough relationship with her at the time, but once we got there the receptionist asked her who I was. Her reply, I dunno, some guy. Great. Now I have to worry if they are secretly calling the cops while I wait, even though I explained who I was. She thought it would be a funny thing to say. I didn't take her anywhere like that alone, again. That's the kind of stuff that can ruin a man's life for absolutely no reason. 12-year-old girls can have a twisted sense of humor. P.S. Nobody laughed. That no matter what we do, we're never an actual parent in other people's eyes. My family and co-workers referred to me taking care of my daughter while my wife's out of town as babysitting instead of, parenting. Mother-in-law always tried to take my daughter when she was colicky and I was holding her, like, it was my fault, or, b, that I didn't know what I was doing. Every time I'm the one taking my daughter to functions, I get the evil eye from half the moms like I don't belong there. There's some shit dads out there, but they don't get the type of abuse as those of us who actually do the job. I was on a 10-hour flight once with my 1-year-old and after about 9 hours he was over it. So many women came up to me explaining what I should do to calm him down. Have you fed him? Maybe his diaper needs to be changed. Do you want me to hold him? Like, come on, I know my kid. He just wants off this thing. I know they meant well, but I doubt they'd do that to another woman. Momsplag, lol. Edit. Thanks for all the awards and stuff, you've all helped make my birthday even better. I feel this in my soul. Fathers are caregivers and the fathers of my dad's generation were generally uninterested. My son turns 1 tomorrow. I've been baking him a 3-tier cake and getting the house cleaned and decorated for this event. Join us on our /daddit. We're a wholesome community of dads, and some moms too. Just doing our best and supporting each other. Edited for Grammar Nazis.